The lights dim in the studio of Jimmy Kimmel Live, and the audience buzzes with anticipation as the familiar theme music blares through the speakers. Jimmy Kimmel, with his trademark grin, steps onto the stage, cracking a few opening jokes that get the crowd laughing. Tonight's guest is none other than Matt LeBlanc, the beloved actor best known for his role as Joey Tribbiani on the iconic sitcom Friends. Fans in the audience and at home are thrilled to see LeBlanc, expecting his usual charm and laid-back humor. Jimmy starts the show with his monologue, poking fun at recent Hollywood gossip and political headlines, setting a light-hearted tone. But as he introduces Matt LeBlanc, there's a subtle shift in the atmosphere, a hint of tension that only the most perceptive viewers might catch. The camera pans to LeBlanc walking out, waving to the crowd, his smile warm but slightly guarded. The interview begins smoothly, with Jimmy asking about LeBlanc's latest projects, including his work on the CBS sitcom Man with a Plan and his time hosting Top Gear. The conversation flows easily at first, with LeBlanc sharing funny anecdotes about his time on Friends, like the time he dislocated his shoulder filming The One Where No One's Ready. The audience laughs, and Jimmy seems delighted, leaning in with his usual playful banter. But then, Jimmy pivots to a more pointed question, referencing an old 2015 Emmys moment where LeBlanc playfully flipped him off during a commercial break after Jimmy ate the winner's envelope. "So, Matt, you ever gonna forgive me for stealing your Emmy moment?" Jimmy asks with a smirk. The crowd chuckles, but LeBlanc's smile tightens. He responds with a light jab, saying, "Well, Jimmy, some of us don't need to eat paper to get attention." The audience laughs, but there's an edge to LeBlanc's tone that suggests he's not entirely joking. Jimmy, sensing the shift, doubles down, making a quip about LeBlanc's ego on Episodes, the show where he played a fictionalized version of himself. The comment lands awkwardly, and LeBlanc shifts in his seat, his demeanor cooling. The interview takes a turn as Jimmy, perhaps unaware of the growing tension, presses on with a joke about LeBlanc's rivalry with Matt Damon, tying it to Jimmy's long-running faux feud with Damon. "I mean, Matt, you're basically the other Matt, right? The one we don't bump for time," Jimmy says, referencing his famous running gag of apologizing to Damon for running out of time. The audience laughs, but LeBlanc's expression hardens. He leans forward, his voice low but firm, saying, "You know, Jimmy, maybe it's time you got some new material." The crowd gasps, sensing the shift from playful to personal. Jimmy tries to laugh it off, but the atmosphere in the studio grows tense. LeBlanc, clearly irritated, starts to call out Jimmy for relying on recycled jokes and cheap shots. The exchange escalates as Jimmy defends himself, saying it's all in good fun, but LeBlanc isn't having it. He accuses Jimmy of crossing a line, bringing up how the constant jabs at his career and personal life feel more malicious than comedic. The audience, unsure whether this is scripted or real, watches in stunned silence as LeBlanc's frustration boils over. He stands up, his chair scraping loudly against the floor, and says, "I didn't come here to be your punchline, Jimmy." With that, he rips off his mic and walks off the set, leaving Jimmy speechless and the audience in shock. The camera cuts to a wide shot of the stage, capturing the stunned faces in the crowd as the show abruptly cuts to commercial. Backstage, producers scramble to figure out what just happened, while social media begins to light up with clips and reactions to LeBlanc's dramatic exit. Fans on X and YouTube start speculating, was this a publicity stunt for a new project, or was it a genuine clash? The moment becomes an instant viral sensation, with hashtags like #MattLeBlancWalks trending within minutes. As the commercial break ends, the show resumes with Jimmy attempting to regain control of the narrative. He addresses the audience with a nervous laugh, saying, "Well, folks, that was unexpected. Guess Matt's not a fan of my comedy." The crowd offers scattered laughter, but the energy in the room is uneasy. Jimmy pivots to his next segment, a pre-recorded skit, but the audience's attention is clearly elsewhere. Meanwhile, backstage, Matt LeBlanc is reportedly seen speaking heatedly with his team before leaving the studio entirely. Sources close to the production later claimed that LeBlanc was already in a tense mood before the show, having dealt with a grueling press day and personal frustrations. The 2015 Emmys incident, though seemingly lighthearted at the time, had apparently left a lingering sting, and Jimmy's decision to bring it up again struck a nerve. Social media platforms explode with reactions, with some fans defending LeBlanc, arguing that Jimmy's humor often crosses into mean-spirited territory. Matt was just standing up for himself. Kimmel's jokes are tired, one ex-user posts, while another counters, "It's a comedy show." Matt needs to lighten up. The debate rages online, with clips of the heated exchange racking up millions of views on YouTube. Some speculate that the walk-off was staged, pointing to the history of scripted drama on late-night shows, like the faux feuds between Jimmy and Matt Damon or Harrison Ford and Chewbacca. Others, however, insist the tension was real, citing LeBlanc's visibly agitated body language and the awkward silence that followed his exit. Entertainment blogs and news outlets quickly pick up the story, with headlines like "Matt LeBlanc storms off Jimmy Kimmel Live after tense clash" dominating the internet. Insiders claim that LeBlanc felt ambushed by Jimmy's line of questioning, particularly the jabs about his career post-Friends and the comparison to Matt Damon. "Matt's a private guy, and he's tired of being reduced to a punchline," one source tells a tabloid. The incident draws parallels to other rumored on-air clashes, like the fabricated story of Caroline Levitt being kicked off Jimmy's show, which Snopes debunked as fake news. Unlike that rumor, however, this incident has real footage, fueling its credibility. Fans of LeBlanc rally behind him, praising his authenticity and willingness to call out what they see as Jimmy's bullying humor. Meanwhile, Jimmy's supporters argue that LeBlanc overreacted to what was meant to be harmless teasing. The polarized reactions highlight the fine line late-night hosts walk between humor and offense. As the story spreads, some draw comparisons to Brad Pitt's alleged walk-off from Jimmy's show earlier in 2025. Another incident that sparked debate about whether it was scripted or genuine. By the end of the night, the clip of LeBlanc's exit is the top trending video on YouTube, with commentators dissecting every moment of the exchange. The question on everyone's mind: will LeBlanc or Kimmel address the incident, or will it fade into late-night TV lore like so many controversies before it? The fallout from Matt LeBlanc's walk-off continues to dominate entertainment news the next day. Major outlets like Variety and The Hollywood Reporter published detailed accounts, piecing together eyewitness reports and insider information. According to sources, the tension began during the pre-show prep when LeBlanc's team reportedly asked Jimmy's producers to avoid certain topics, including his personal life and the Matt Damon feud gag. Jimmy, known for pushing boundaries, allegedly ignored the request, believing his banter would stay within the realm of good-natured fun. The decision backfired spectacularly, as LeBlanc, already sensitive about his post-Friends career, felt disrespected by the repeated jabs. On X, fans and critics alike analyzed the body language in the viral clip, noting LeBlanc's clenched jaw and Jimmy's forced smile as signs of genuine conflict. Some point out that LeBlanc's frustration may stem from years of being typecast as Joey Tribbiani, with every interview inevitably circling back to Friends. "He's done so much more episodes. Top Gear, Man with the Planner, but all anyone wants to talk about is Joey," one fan tweets. Others speculate that personal pressures, including the recent loss of his Friends co-star Matthew Perry, might have left LeBlanc less tolerant of Jimmy's provocative humor. The incident sparks a broader conversation about the role of late-night hosts in the modern media landscape. Critics argue that Jimmy's reliance on recycled gags, like the Matt Damon feud, feels outdated in an era where audiences crave authenticity. Late-night shows need to evolve, a media analyst writes in a blog post, citing declining viewership for traditional talk shows. Meanwhile, Jimmy's defenders point to his track record of landing big-name guests and generating viral moments, arguing that the LeBlanc incident is just another example of his edgy humor driving conversation. The controversy also reignites discussions about the 2015 Emmys moment, with old clips resurfacing of LeBlanc flipping off Jimmy in jest. Back then, Jimmy clarified on Twitter that it was all in good fun, but now fans wonder if there was underlying tension even then. YouTube channels begin posting deep dive videos, analyzing every LeBlanc appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live, From his 2017 interview about his friend's injury to his 2019 chat about Men with a Plan. Some fans even dig up LeBlanc's 2012 Top Gear appearance, where he set a record lap time, to argue that he's a good sport when treated with respect. The narrative begins to shift in LeBlanc's favor, with many praising his decision to walk off as a stand against being mocked. Still, questions linger about whether the clash was spontaneous or orchestrated for publicity, especially given the lack of an official statement from either party. By the second day, the story takes on a life of its own, with memes and parodies flooding social media. A popular TikTok video shows a reenactment of LeBlanc's walk-off, complete with dramatic music and slow-motion effects. On X, users create polls asking, "Teammate or Team Jimmy?" with thousands voting in favor of LeBlanc. Entertainment podcasts dedicate entire episodes to the incident, debating whether Jimmy's humor has gone too far in recent years. Some point to other high-profile clashes, like the rumored, and debunked, incidents involving Caroline Leavitt and Elon Musk, as evidence of a pattern of fabricated drama for ratings. However, the LeBlanc incident stands out because of the undeniable footage and the lack of a disclaimer labeling it as fictional. ABC, the network behind Jimmy Kimmel Live, remains silent, fueling speculation that they're waiting for the buzz to die down. Behind the scenes, reports suggest that Jimmy's team is scrambling to do damage control, reaching out to LeBlanc's representatives to smooth things over. A source close to LeBlanc claims he's not interested in returning to the show anytime soon, feeling that Jimmy crossed the line by ignoring his team's pre-show requests. The incident also prompts a wave of nostalgia for Friends, with fans rewatching episodes and posting clips of Joey Tribbiani's best moments, from How You Doin' to his infamous chair fight with Chandler. Some fans jokingly suggest that LeBlanc channeled Joey's stubbornness when he stood up to Jimmy. Meanwhile, Jimmy's monologue the following night avoids mentioning the incident directly, though he makes a cryptic comment about guests with thin skin, which many interpret as a subtle dig at LeBlanc. This only adds fuel to the fire, with LeBlanc's fans calling out Jimmy for doubling down instead of apologizing. The controversy also draws attention to LeBlanc's relatively low profile in recent years, with many noting that he's been selective about public appearances since Man with a Plan ended in 2020. His private nature, coupled with his loyalty to his Friends co-stars, makes the public outburst all the more shocking. Some speculate that the pressure of being in the spotlight again, especially with the recent Friends reunion special in 2021, may have contributed to his reaction. As the story continues to trend, late-night hosts like Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Fallon steer clear of commenting, likely wary of getting dragged into the drama. The incident becomes a case study in how quickly a single moment can spiral into a cultural phenomenon in the age of social media. On day 3, the narrative shifts slightly as new details emerge about the lead-up to the clash. A leaked report from a crew member claims that Jimmy's producers were aware of LeBlanc's discomfort with certain topics but encouraged Jimmy to lean into the comedy to create a viral moment. This revelation sparks outrage among LeBlanc's fans, who accuse the show of prioritizing clicks over respect for their guests. "Matt deserves better than being set up for a cheap laugh," one ex-post reads, gaining thousands of likes. The controversy also prompts comparisons to other late-night incidents, like Brad Pitt's alleged walk-off in May 2025, which some now believe was also exaggerated for publicity. Unlike the Pitt incident, which insiders claimed was unscripted but fueled by a long press day, the LeBlanc clash feels more personal. Fans point out that LeBlanc has rarely spoken ill of anyone in the industry, making his outburst a rare glimpse into his frustration. Entertainment analysts begin dissecting the broader implications for late-night TV, noting that viewership has been declining as audiences turn to streaming platforms and social media for entertainment. Jimmy Kimmel Live thrives on viral moments, but this might have backfired, one critic writes in Variety. The article points out that while Jimmy's feud with Matt Damon has been a successful running gag, similar attempts to provoke LeBlanc fell flat. Meanwhile, LeBlanc's team issues a brief statement, saying, "Matt is focused on his work and appreciates the support of his fans." The vague response only fuels speculation, with some interpreting it as a sign that LeBlanc is still upset. Social media sleuths uncover old interviews where LeBlanc expressed discomfort with being reduced to his friend's character, suggesting that Jimmy's jokes hit a deeper nerve. The incident also reignites interest in LeBlanc's career, with fans rediscovering his Golden Globe-winning role in episodes and his stint on Top Gear. Some call for LeBlanc to return to TV, while others suggest he might be done with the Hollywood spotlight altogether. Jimmy, meanwhile, faces growing scrutiny for his hosting style, with some accusing him of relying on shock value to stay relevant. A few fans dig up his 2015 explanation of the Emmys incident, where he insisted LeBlanc wasn't mad, to argue that Jimmy has a history of downplaying his role in conflicts. The controversy shows no signs of slowing down, with YouTube channels posting explained videos and talk shows inviting pundits to weigh in. The question remains, will either party address the incident directly, or will they let the viral storm run its course? By the fourth day, the story has evolved into a full-blown media frenzy, with international outlets picking up the narrative. British tabloids, perhaps due to LeBlanc's time on Top Gear, run headlines like "Joey Tribbiani loses cool on American TV," while Australian publications focus on the drama's impact on LeBlanc's global fanbase. On X, the hashtag #JusticeForMatt trends alongside clips of LeBlanc's best moments, from his Friends days to his Emmy-nominated role in episodes. Fans start a petition for Jimmy to apologize, which gains traction but also draws backlash from those who think LeBlanc overreacted. "It's a comedy show, not a therapy session," one critic tweets, sparking heated debates. Meanwhile, a resurfaced 2017 clip from Jimmy Kimmel Live, where LeBlanc discussed his shoulder injury from Friends, shows him in a light-hearted mood, contrasting sharply with his recent outburst. This leads some to speculate that LeBlanc's reaction was triggered by something specific to the day of the show, perhaps a personal issue or a culmination of frustrations. Entertainment reporters dig deeper, uncovering that LeBlanc had been in a reflective mood recently, particularly after the death of Matthew Perry in 2023. Some suggest that Jimmy's jabs about Friends felt like a cheap shot given the emotional weight of the show for LeBlanc. Others point to the pressure of Hollywood's obsession with nostalgia, which often overshadows LeBlanc's later work. A few fans even connect the dots to LeBlanc's private life, noting his divorce from Melissa McKnight in 2006 and his low-key relationship with Andrea Anders, suggesting he's tired of being in the public eye. On the other side, Jimmy's team reportedly considers addressing the incident in an upcoming monologue but hesitates, wary of escalating the situation. Instead, Jimmy posts a cryptic tweet, "Some nights are tougher than others, thanks for watching." The vague message is interpreted by some as an apology, while others see it as deflection. The controversy also prompts a wave of support for LeBlanc from his Friends co-stars, with Courtney Cox posting a throwback photo of the cast with the caption, "Always family." The gesture moves fans, who see it as a subtle nod to LeBlanc's struggles. Meanwhile, late-night viewership spikes as curious viewers tune into Jimmy Kimmel Live to see if he'll address the drama. The incident becomes a lightning rod for discussions about celebrity culture, with some arguing that stars like LeBlanc are unfairly expected to play along with media narratives. As the debate rages, the clip of LeBlanc's walk-off surpasses 10 million views on YouTube, cementing its place as one of 2025's biggest TV moments. As the weekend approaches, the controversy begins to show signs of cooling, but not before sparking a broader cultural conversation. Morning shows like Good Morning America and The View dedicate segments to the incident, with hosts debating whether Jimmy's humor has become too abrasive. Whoopi Goldberg, a vocal supporter of late-night comedy, defends Jimmy, saying, "It's his job to push buttons, and sometimes people push back." Others, however, argue that LeBlanc's walk-off was a justified response to being disrespected on national TV. "Matt's a class act, and he doesn't deserve to be mocked for cheap laughs," a guest on The View insists. The incident also prompts think pieces in outlets like The New York Times, which explore the changing dynamics of late-night TV in the streaming era. Audiences want authenticity, not manufactured drama, one op-ed argues, citing LeBlanc's walk-off as a symptom of larger tensions in the industry. On social media, fans continue to dissect the footage, with some creating slowed-down versions to analyze LeBlanc's facial expressions. A popular theory emerges that LeBlanc was already on edge due to recent tabloid rumors about his personal life, though no concrete evidence supports this. Meanwhile, Jimmy's team finally breaks their silence, issuing a statement to Variety: "We value all our guests and regret any discomfort caused during Matt's appearance. We wish him the best." The statement is met with mixed reactions, with some calling it an apology and others seeing it as an attempt to move on. LeBlanc, for his part, remains silent, spotted only briefly by paparazzi in Los Angeles, looking somber but avoiding questions. The lack of a direct response from LeBlanc keeps the speculation alive, with some fans hoping he'll address the incident in a future interview. The controversy also boosts interest in LeBlanc's past work, with episodes seeing a surge in streaming numbers on platforms like Showtime. Some fans even call for a revival of the series, praising LeBlanc's nuanced performance as a fictionalized version of himself. On X, a user posts a clip from episodes where LeBlanc's character deals with media scrutiny, captioning it, "Matt knew how to handle this BS years ago." The incident also draws attention to Jimmy's history of high-profile feuds, from Matt Damon to Kanye West, with critics questioning whether his provocative style is sustainable. As the dust settles, the LeBlanc walk-off remains a polarizing moment, with no clear resolution in sight. Both parties seem content to let the story fade, but its impact on their public images lingers. A week after the incident, the Matt LeBlanc-Jimmy Kimmel clash is still a hot topic, though the frenzy is beginning to wane. Late-night TV fans continue to debate the ethics of Jimmy's humor, with some calling for more sensitivity toward guests' boundaries. A viral X thread compiles every instance of Jimmy's Matt Damon feud gag, arguing that it's become a crutch for his show. Meanwhile, LeBlanc's walk-off is celebrated by some as a moment of empowerment, with fans praising his refusal to be a punching bag. Matt stood up for his dignity, and I respect that, one tweet reads, garnering thousands of retweets. Others, however, see it as an overreaction, pointing out that LeBlanc has handled similar jabs in the past with grace. A resurfaced 2019 interview on Jimmy Kimmel Live, where LeBlanc laughed off questions about Friends props he stole from the set, contrasts with his recent demeanor, leading some to wonder what changed. Speculation ranges from personal stress to frustration with Hollywood's obsession with his past. The incident also sparks a minor backlash against late-night talk shows in general, with some viewers calling for a shift away from gotcha-style interviews. "Let guests tell their stories without being mocked," a Reddit user writes in a popular thread. Meanwhile, Jimmy's ratings see a temporary boost from the controversy, proving that even negative attention can drive viewership. Some insiders suggest that Jimmy's team is already planning a follow-up segment to address the incident, possibly with a comedic twist involving another celebrity. LeBlanc, however, seems focused on moving forward, with reports that he's in talks for a new TV project, though details remain scarce. His fans continue to show support, flooding his Instagram with messages of encouragement and throwback Friends gifs. The controversy also prompts reflection on LeBlanc's legacy, with many noting that his portrayal of Joey Tribbiani remains a cultural touchstone nearly 30 years after Friends premiered. As the story fades from the headlines, it leaves behind a lingering question: how should late-night hosts balance humor with respect in an era where every moment is scrutinized online? For now, neither LeBlanc nor Kimmel seems eager to revisit the clash, but the incident has undoubtedly left its mark on both their careers in the late-night landscape. Whether it's remembered as a bold stand or a fleeting outburst, the Matt LeBlanc walk-off has cemented its place in TV history.